Hello, and thank you for viewing this video. I'm going to explain to you what you need to do to fill in this form with confidence. The purpose of this form is to help track how you spend your time for the next 7 days. Hopefully at the end of this week, you will see how balanced or unbalanced your life is. You might see areas you can change and some areas you could trim down in order to achieve a greater peace and joy within yourselves. The form is pretty straightforward, and I hope it will be easy for you to record, but it makes sense to me because I designed it. Let's take a look at the form. It can be broken down into 4 sections. There's the top section, and it's about time with God. The next section is about your time with your spouse, if you have one, and children, if you have some. The next section is about your social media usage. The last section is about your work, your sleep, and your personal interests. At the top of the form are 9 columns. The first 7 are the days of the week. The 8th column is for the week's total. The 9th column is about percentages. Now, this column you don't need to worry about because I will discuss this with you at the beginning of next week's class. To demonstrate what I'm talking about, I will use a completed form I used to record my time a few weeks ago. Before I proceed, I want to give you a few tips to make it easy for you to record your times. Tip number 1. If you do nothing in a category, just record a 0. It's just a placeholder. It keeps you from recording a number from somewhere else in that spot. Tip number 2. If you spend 41 to 59 minutes doing something, I want you to round it up to the next hour. So in other words, if you did 59 minutes, use 1H in the space. Tip 3. If you spend 40 minutes or less, just put in the exact numbers. So in other words, if you did 23 minutes in praying to God, just put 23 minutes. And you don't need to put the M in for minutes. Tip 4. If you spend 1 hour and 50 minutes, you would round that up to 2 hours. Just use 2H in the space. Watch as I enter my time. Today is Wednesday, so I will start in the vertical column under Wednesday. Okay, if we start with reading the Bible on Wednesday, I read for 30 minutes. Reading devotional, 15 minutes. Attending church, 0 minutes. Praying, I prayed for 30 minutes that day. I didn't spend time memorizing scripture, so that's 0. Meditation, I didn't meditate today on Wednesday. It was 0. But I was in a growth group for an hour, and I fellowshiped with believers for an hour. I didn't listen to worship music that day, so 0 there. Listening to sermons, I didn't listen to any on the radio, 0. Helping others, I'm not aware if I went out of my way to help others, and then other things not listed, I put 0. So continuing on, I'll go down to the spouse, and I spent 1.5 hours of quality time with her. I don't have any children in the house, so it's 0 for that. Exercise, I spent an hour that day. Watching TV, I watch 3 hours. Moving down to the social media, under Facebook, I don't have a Facebook account, that's 0. Twitter, that's 0. Texting, 30 minutes that day. Phone use, 2 hours. And the computer, 1 hour. Moving down to the last section, under working, commuting, I didn't work that day, 0. Hobbies that day, 0. Sports I played golf that day, so 4 hours. And then sleeping, 7 hours. Eating, 1 hour for the 3 meals. And for the other 0. So that concludes the entering for Wednesday. That took me all of about maybe 4 to 6 minutes. Okay, Wednesday is done. For the sake of time, I'll fill in the last 6 days. Now that the form is filled in, it's time to add up all the horizontal rows from the top all the way to the bottom. Let me show you what you need to do with the first row, and it's called Reading the Bible. I will add all the numbers from Monday to Sunday, and then I'll record the answer in column 8. The answer for my first row is 3.5 hours. So let's do one more row. Let's do the second row. When I add up all the numbers, I get 1 hour and 45 minutes. Okay, since 45 is more than 41, I'm going to round it up to 2 hours. I bet you get it. And so to save time and not bore you, I will fast forward and add up the rest of the rows and then enter the answers now. There are 2 categories that need a total. The top section, Time with God, and the third section, Social Media. The other 2 sections don't have a total. Next week at the beginning of our meeting, I will give an explanation of how to interpret the form. Everything in this form has to do with numbers. God is a numbers person. In day 3, you learned about different numbers that were repeated and used throughout the Bible. Filling out this form shouldn't take but 5 to 10 minutes each day. I would suggest that you record your times at the end of the day. Doing so will help you have a better chance of recalling what you did without missing any events that occurred. Don't worry if your day doesn't add up to 24 hours. Get as close as you can. We are just trying to get a close estimate of time spent that day. Thank you for taking the time to fill out this form. It will be useful in seeing yourself grow and thrive for God's glory.